They're so hateful. I don't know if we can come together for the country. The man literally called for the death of children and another elected official just because they don't agree with him. And voters will still vote for him.
Absolutely.
They're fantasizing about murdering conservatives and their children. I mean, if you can actually stay in a race and say that, what type of party do we have? What type of opposition party is this?
Can I also say in an interview with Leader Jeffries that can we stop with the pro-clutching about the mean tweets and sombrero tweets? That this week it came to light that a Democrat candidate for Attorney General of the state of Virginia called for the assassination of a political opponent, called for the assassination of that political opponent's family, and there's not one national Democrat calling for him to step aside. Not one. It's disgraceful.
Nira, let me let you respond to that because that is going to be a big story, I think, in the coming days.
I mean, I absolutely think people should criticize that 100%. Yeah. I think it was a private conversation he had, but still awful and disgusting. It wasn't calling for it public, but terrible. And it should be condemned. But then we should condemn that. But then you should condemn when the president calls the Democratic Party the party of Satan.
Yeah, in all fairness.
Why don't we just say both of those things?
I think I've paid the price for saying for political violence on our side.
But yeah, I agree with that. But let's criticize other Republicans or the president.
I think I
for
really
not
have.
saying
But
Satan.
the fact that not one Democrat has stood out when he called for political assassination, this moment of political violence is crazy.
Where's the equivalence here? I mean, he was calling for an elected official's kids to die. So those are the text messages there. I mean, this is crazy. He even boasted he'd go to their funerals to piss on their graves, as you can see. So again, these aren't angry tweets or bad takes. They're violent fantasies aimed at elected officials. So now Democrats and Republicans alike are condemning him and demanding answers. Now, it's not many Democrats. I haven't seen many.
This is a false equivalence. Like I said, I'll repeat, heads I win, tails you lose. They never take responsibility or own anything that they say or do. They don't even come out quickly to say, okay, I misspoke. I didn't, whatever. I was emoting. They don't do that. They will turn it around and make it a both sides argument when it cannot be further from the truth. 2017, Steve Scalise was shot. Not only that, just very recently, 16 months ago, President Trump was shot twice. Not to mention the people that were shot and Corey was killed behind him. Don't even bypass, not even a month ago, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We've had more attempts, I believe, and maybe some successes when you count President Trump and Charlie Kirk from the left, if you will. But it doesn't even really have to just be the left versus right. They just never own up to it. It's a right versus wrong. We have a sitting politician and attorney general of the state of Virginia texting. Not only was he just texting, he gloated, he dug in. The whoever he was texting was like, wait a minute, Jay, that's wrong. He dug in. He talked about women holding your babies, whatever, or dying in the mother's arms, and he gloated over it. He's only now apologizing and trying to minimize it because it's coming out. A sitting politician. Again, these are people on our taxpayers' dimes, and they get away with it time and time again. If it was a Republican, he still has to go. I don't care what side he's on, but by and large, Republicans don't do that. And if they do misspeak, they own it for the most part. They own it. They apologize. They say, I misspoke. I was whatever the case may be. You don't get that from the party of Satan.
Yeah. I mean, folks, I want to make sure you understand, particularly what you said, Shelley. He dug in on this. He was talking to Delegate Carrie Coyner. She's a Republican in Chesterfield. And she came out and said we had a pretty heated conversation about public policy and pain involving qualified immunity. So the police officers. She said, I served on the courts committee for a short period of time, a bill to remove qualified immunity for police officers, which protects police officers from personal liability in their line of duty and their line of work. And Jay believed that they should not have qualified immunity. And he was trying to convince me, she says, to agree with that. And I said, no, police officers have to make a split-second decision about whether or not to shoot a gun to protect themselves or protect others. And if they're having to think about it, will this strip my whole family of everything? Are they going to be able to make that split-second decision? And I said, I believe that people will get killed. Police officers will get killed. And then he said, Jay, well, maybe if a few of them died, that they would move on, not shooting people, not killing people. And I said, that's insane. But he firmly believed that if you removed qualified immunity, that police officers would act differently. And I firmly believe that it would not result in good public policy. I mean, and then he started talking about people's kids. If that wasn't bad enough, he said they need to lose the children to make them see how important this was in his eyes. Nicole, do you believe most Democrats believe this?
No, I believe that there is a very liberal, a very left-wing part of their party that has taken over what used to be the Democrat Party, and they're not giving it back. You know, as gentlemanly and as kind as they're trying to be, the people who used to be moderate Democrats, they don't even exist anymore. They have been rolled over by the likes of AOC and Ilhan Omar and Abigail Spanberger, all of these very incredibly liberal people who want to change the fabric of the way this nation works. When you hear them talk about Democrats talking about removing rights from our law enforcement, they did exactly that here in Maryland. They repealed the law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights here. So this is a conversation about doing in Virginia what Maryland already did. This is why Winsome Sears had that a very successful early on campaign that said, don't Maryland my Virginia, right? What has happened here, as you well know, in our state, they've stripped away almost everybody's rights. Unless you're MD Dems, you know, you're walking on thin ice around here. Got to keep your head on a swivel. Everybody else in Virginia and Delaware, surrounding states, the District of Columbia, well, if they could do it in Maryland, then we should be able to do it here. I mean, do law enforcement officers actually need rights? Is it necessary? Will they still show up to work? And what the Republican is saying to him is, listen, I don't want to find that out. If me and my family are being attacked in our home, I don't want a police officer thinking about his legal liabilities. I want him to do something, to act and respond. And in response to that, he's talking about another sitting lawmaker's family, children being gunned down and dying in their mother's arms. This is the same man. And he's running for attorney general to be the top cop in Virginia. This is the same man who was caught driving, I think, 106 miles an hour, just burning the road up. Wow. He was given a sweetheart sentence. And from that sweetheart sentence, he had to do 200 hours, I believe it was, community service. So guess where he did his community service? At his own PAC. He had his political action committee director write a letter to the court that said, oh yeah, he showed up and he was a great help here at his own damn PAC. So it tells me right off the top, this guy does not have any integrity, none whatsoever. Then we look at this foolishness, even if it was a private conversation. When someone in that conversation is saying, hey, back off, dude, you're doing too much. And then you double down talking about pissing on people's graves and whatnot. He has no business near public service, period. None. Yeah. None. He should not be allowed to be in the library, let alone run to be something over top of a library. This man is dangerous in the worst kind of way. And Democrats know it, but they also know that they need Abigail Spanberger to win that seat. Again, they're grasping at straws. So they're going to throw everything against the wall. According to Virginia Beach Democrats, they're 10 toes down behind this guy. He made a mistake. It was years ago. He's grown up since then. I dare you that he is the same person he was then as he is now. People don't change. Their circumstances do.
Well, Tyrone, again, we don't have a law. I haven't seen any national Democrats call for this man to step down. So I'll ask you the same thing I asked Nicole. Do you believe that most Democrat voters agree with this type of conduct?
I do. And that's why he hasn't stepped down, because if the Democrats thought that this endangered his electoral chances, they'd have had him out of there by now. Mm-hmm. But they know full well that their voters, there are enough of them to still make him competitive in this race. You've got none other than Tim Kaine, U.S. Senator from Virginia, running mate to Hillary Clinton. He came out and they asked him, did he disagree with the text? He says, yeah, I disagree with it. But he went on, the comments are completely indefensible. I've known Jay Jones for 25 years, and those comments are very much out of character for him. So if I put the comments, which are clearly beyond the pale, against knowing this guy for 25 years, I'm still supporting Jay Jones. So Tim Kaine probably would have said, hey, look, Jeffrey Dahmer, you eat one person and we got to throw you away. That's the mentality here. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So the Democrats, they're comfortable with this. Now, here's the real insidious part. Does anybody believe that if you are not in lockstep with his political ideology, that you will get fair treatment? Do you think that his justice will be blind if somehow you come before that office and you are not in lockstep with what he believes? Okay. So that's the real danger here. And that's why they want him in there.
Exactly. Listen, do you think he's going to be fair with the police officers that serve under him as that state's top cop?
He hates police. We can clearly see the man hates police. I mean,
absolutely.
Absolutely. This is the thing. Across the country, we have a lot of mayors and politicians in office, and we ask here all the time, can this be, you said tonight, is this what they represent, or is this representative of the party? Unfortunately, I agree with Tyrone. I mean, not unfortunately, I agree with you, but I agree with you for the reason that it's unfortunate, right? Look, I know people every day in my everyday life, regular people, who are a little, they just don't make sense. They support something like this. They support the Democratic Party by and large. And these are just average people. They have no power position, but they support this because they think that, boogeyman Trump and all this foolishness, and they don't see the connections. They're not making the connections. That's one point. Number two, Tyrone, what you were saying, they do believe that he should be there. Remember, 2004? Howard Dean was forced out of the candidacy because of that screech, right? Now they got rid of him for a scream. Yes, this guy ran around here saying people want to piss on children's graves or whatever. That's okay. But a silly scream will get you put out of office, but not threatening people that they should die. There you go.
Well, Shelley,
listen, the party was totally demonic. Right? That scream was demonic.
Totally different now. This is not the same party as it was in 2004. And this is what I was going to say. And it's so different. It's so changed. They're so hateful. I don't know if we can come together for the country. I really don't. Because when you have people, again, that they won't call for him to drop out of the race. He feels strongly enough to stay in and because he believes that he can still win in spite of this. I mean, the man literally called for the death of children and another elected official just because they don't agree with him. And voters will still vote for him. Absolutely. They're fantasizing about murdering conservatives and their children. I mean, if you can actually stay in a race and say that, what type of party do we have? What type of opposition party is this?
You don't negotiate.
Have a civil war.
Party of people, because you mentioned Tim Kaine was the same guy who said if you have a botched abortion and the baby's still alive, he believed in killing the baby, right?
Yeah. Render no service.
How much negotiation? How much negotiation can you do with people who want to kill you? I mean, where do you start that negotiation?
With a bullet?
Hence the Civil War. The only negotiating force you have is to beat them, to get them out of your country, whatever. In the Civil War, this is why we are in the Civil War. The battles have already begun.
You know what? It's definitely a spiritual war we're fighting here, folks. We got to recognize these types of comments and things like this, and this is not a one-off. I mean, they're demonic. And we're in a spiritual war here, and we got to fight with, like you said, you all said, with the ballot box, but also with our faith. Please, as you all come in, hit that like button and subscribe. We have a goal to hit 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we need your help. We need your support. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share this on your social media, share this in a text message, in a direct message. Get the word out, folks.
Yes.
All right.